Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole if you're new. Welcome. And today I'm going to be talking about my first appointment with my gastric bypass surgeon. So I kind of first wanted to just touch base really quickly on how to pick your surgeon, because I feel like this is a really important step that could easily be skipped over if you're because once you've made the decision to have gastric bypass or any weight loss surgery at all, it's kind of hard to be patient because you're like, well, I know this is what I want, this is what I feel like is right, I don't want to wait. So I feel like sometimes we might be willing to compromise in ways that we shouldn't, like with our surgeon, you know, from availability or things like that. With my personal experience, it kind of took me a while anyway to decide, and I had the time because I had just quit a job and started a new one. But how I picked my surgeon was a lot of research and honestly just going off my gut feeling. And then once I made the decision, I just kind of let that sit with me for a little while. And I had actually rescheduled my first appointment 3 times with 3 different surgeons because I just couldn't really feel comfortable with the first 2. They were sooner and at a more convenient location, but I just didn't feel good about either of them. So once I decided that I wanted to have this specific surgeon, I let it sit for a bit. I hadn't canceled or rescheduled my other appointments just to wait and make sure, and I just kept feeling good about it. So I decided to cancel and reschedule with this specific surgeon, and I just felt good about it. But I do think it is worth saying, do your research, go with somebody who you feel comfortable with, and don't settle, because time passes quickly. And you might as well be with somebody that you'll feel comfortable with, because the procedure will go better if you trust your surgeon, and your recovery will be better if you trust your surgeon. So much about this process is trusting and just moving forward trusting. So make sure that you pick somebody that you can have confidence in throughout this process. So what is the first appointment all about? At my particular facility, the first appointment is actually 3. So you meet, it's like a 4-hour appointment. You meet with the surgeon, a dietitian, and an exercise physiologist. I don't know if other hospitals do this, but this specific hospital that I'm going to does. I first met with a med student who was working with the surgeon. And the med student just kind of ran through, asked me, you know, do you have any specific questions that I can prep him with? And I let her know, you know, I'm kind of curious as to which procedure I should move forward with. I have an idea of one that I want, but I would like to, you know, I want to make sure that I'm doing the best one for me. And then he came into the room and I met with him for about 45 minutes, and they provided me a lot of information. So this pamphlet was one of the things that he gave me to read through. So there are four main different kinds of weight loss surgery. You have the gastric banding. I don't know if you can see that at all. The gastric banding. There is the sleeve, the gastric bypass, and the sleeve with a duodenal switch. So the band, he told me that at this particular hospital they don't do the band anymore. It has proved to be not that helpful. It has a lot of problems, a lot of complications, and not a very high rate of guaranteed weight loss. It does work for people, don't get me wrong, but he said it's not the most effective procedure, and they just don't do it anymore. The other one was the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, and I was kind of in between this and gastric bypass. One thing that he said that instantly made me switch to the bypass is that with the sleeve, if you have acid reflux, it can enhance that. And I have really bad acid reflux, and as soon as I told him I had acid reflux, he's like, you're not getting the sleeve. He said that will become worse or exacerbated with the sleeve gastrectomy, so that was kind of off the table for me. The other one is the Roux-En-Y gastric bypass. In this one, they make a little pouch. I guess this kind of shows it better. I don't know why I'm trying to explain it. They make a little pouch with your new stomach. It's about the size of an egg. They bypass your stomach and the beginning part of your small intestines, and they reattach. So they cut right here. They take your small intestines, bring it up here, and then they sew an opening there, and then they sew this on. So they don't actually remove your stomach. It's still in your abdomen, which was kind of crazy to me to think. The other one is the biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch, which is basically a mix of the sleeve and the bypass. And he told me that they don't really do that. He does not do that one because it has such a high risk of malnutrition. It's really hard for people because it bypasses so much of your intestines. It's just a very high risk of malnutrition, and he doesn't feel comfortable doing that. So he said the two that he performs are the sleeve gastrectomy and the Roux-En-Y gastric bypass. And for my situation, Roux-En-Y gastric bypass just made the most sense. So going into this, one of my main concerns was, what are the long-term ramifications of surgery? But there's always a risk of malnutrition. If you don't prioritize your food and make sure that you're getting in the correct nutrients, you can have malnutrition. Another lifelong ramification, and I don't know if this is a ramification, but something that I will have to do for the rest of my life is take a vitamin every day. And they have different options. You can get like these specific bariatric vitamins that have all of the vitamins in one, or you can take, they give you a list of like specific vitamins that you'll have to take every day. And that can be pretty costly. But I think about the food that I eat and the food that I won't be eating after. It just kind of balances out. If not, I mean, so the vitamins are about $26 a bottle, and they last you about a month. So that's just kind of something that you'll have to add to your bills. You just have to account for that every month you'll be spending about $30 on vitamins, and, you know, financially plan for that. You can have children. In fact, it increases your ability to have children because as an obese person, your uterus isn't really a good home for a baby. Not to say that you can't get pregnant while you're fat, you definitely can, and a lot of people do. It's just healthier and lower risk if you have lost the weight. But you can be pregnant completely after having gastric bypass with no risks, no major concerns. One thing that I was kind of concerned about, I used to be vegan for a while, for about 6 months. So I was like, if I decide to go vegan again, can I be? Or even vegetarian, can I be vegetarian and have gastric bypass? And he said, absolutely, of course. It is the same as being a meat eater or whatever you want to call it, just eating normally. You just have to make sure that you get your protein in first. Because your pouch fills up, if you're filling it with grains, you'll feel full, but you're not getting the nutrients, and that's where you could be at risk of malnutrition. So you just have to make sure that you're getting in your beans, tofu, whatever it is that you can, you know, that you want to count as your vegan protein. You have to make sure that you're eating that. You just have to be aware of what you're eating, and that's regardless of how you're eating after surgery. You just have to be conscious and aware. Something else that I was really concerned about, and I'm really grateful that I was made aware before I even met with him, because I feel like I could emotionally prepare myself, is loose skin. Loose skin is something that I have been really anxious about. I mean, ever since I was probably like 19 and I found out that it happened, I was like kind of scared to lose weight because I was scared of the loose skin. I mean, it's scary. There's no way around that. It is hard. And it's like, oh my gosh, I put all this work and effort into this to now have a body that still, I mean, and this is total perception for me. In my mind, I was saying that still isn't really that attractive, or that still isn't sexy. I mean, you go through that surgery and then I have all this loose skin everywhere. What's the point of even losing the weight? And the reality for me that I've come to through working through it, and I've watched so many things on YouTube, I've done a ton of research online and on Pinterest. I've read articles about weight loss surgery and the skin and how to deal with that and what it really signifies, that I feel like, I mean, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like I've kind of come to terms with it, and I'm okay with it. And I'm also okay with having surgery for it if I feel at that time that it's necessary. I'm okay with that. And my surgeon, he actually warned me about loose skin. He said, we want to make sure that you're aware that loose skin is probably something you will have. He said, weight exercise tends to make it so that the skin is a little bit tighter, but you will most likely have loose skin. And luckily I was prepared for that. I was like, I know, and I'm okay with that. I would rather have the loose skin than the fat. I would rather have loose skin and be able to fit into an airplane seat than be my weight and hardly be able to get up out of a couch. I mean, that's just the reality for me. I know that my lifestyle will improve once I've lost the weight, and that's worth the loose skin to me. Another thing that I was kind of concerned about is, how will my lifestyle change? Will I have to make huge lifestyle modifications in order to be successful at this? And my surgeon, and I'm sure everyone has heard this, but he said weight loss surgery is not a solution, it's a tool. How you choose to use that tool is up to you. And he showed me the statistics of how much weight people lose, and how many people keep it off. Most people keep it off, they lose and they kind of maintain and stay in that weight. I let him know my goal weight is around like 150, 155. But really, I'm okay with wherever I feel comfortable. I just want to be healthy. That's my ultimate goal here. I'm not looking to be, I want to be 125 pounds, and if I don't make it to that, then I'm not successful. That's also something I've had to work through now, because I did feel like that about a month ago. I was telling myself, well, if you don't get down to at least under 150 pounds, you will not have been successful, and that is such a lie. The numbers don't matter. They don't gauge my success. How I feel that I'm going to be successful, how I will know that I've been successful with this surgery, is if I feel healthy, if I feel happier than I am now. Then to me, that's success. No pound, no weight, no ideal weight will ever make me feel successful or unsuccessful. If I'm happy and I weigh 210 pounds, oh my heck, I'm so excited for that. That's just the reality for me. And that is something, like I said, I've had to work through that the last couple of months, because that's not how I used to think. I've had to change my thinking, and I know that that will help me be successful. Because if you tell yourself, if in a year I haven't lost 100 pounds, I'm not successful, then you kind of get into a pity party, and you're like, well, I didn't make my goal, so I'm not successful. And then the shame and the guilt and the eating comes back. And that's what I don't want to have. I don't want to be happily 180 pounds and feeling guilty and overeating again and gaining the weight back because I didn't set myself up for success now. So that's something to think about. What is your definition of success, and how can you change that so that this procedure can work in your favor? So where do I go from here? I've just had my first appointment. Now where do I go?